Topic our news in this hour, Californians are heading to the polls and will cast their votes on a laundry list of issues. And one of the most controversial ones right here in Kern County is Measure G, which would place more restrictions on medical marijuana dispensaries in the county. The measure would move dispensaries to industrial areas of the county. They would have to be at least 1 mile away from schools, parks, churches, daycare centers, and other dispensaries. Supporters say the measure was created to make peace with the federal government, while those opposed say it will take medical marijuana out of the hands of those who need it most.
Now we've asked representatives from both sides of this issue to join us in studio this morning to talk a little bit more about it. Unfortunately, Sheriff Donnie Youngblood respectfully declines via advice from County Council.
That's right. Joining us this morning, though, Civil Rights Attorney Phil Ganong joining us here in studio to talk more about this. Phil, good morning. Thanks for being here.
Good morning. Mike, Crystal, how are you?
Okay, first of all, let's just jump right into Measure G. And as you see it, how do you break it down?
Well, Measure G will basically ban all medical marijuana patient associations in Kern County, and it does so in a very direct and practical way. It requires people who would like to lease to patient associations their property, their office building, their whatever. It requires them essentially to sign a confession letter and give it to County Council, who's a former magistrate, federal magistrate, who then in turn can give it over to Mr. Benjamin Wagner, the U.S. Attorney in the Eastern District. That's the Central Valley. Now, Attorney Wagner has made no secret about the fact that he intends to shut down these organizations, and he intends to do so by stealing the property of the landowners. He already has one forfeiture action going on right now in Kern County, and so that's a very practical restriction. No one, regardless of how compassionate they want to be relative to patient associations, is going to make a gift of their property to the federal government. We give enough already, don't we? So, you know, why do we need to go that much further? The second thing is that the areas that these associations are going to be banned to or condemned to are largely areas that are vacant land. You know, they say, well, we've got 9,000 acres. Well, the reality is that about 1% of it is developed. And in addition, the people who own those properties are largely major corporate landowners. Again, they're not going to want to give their property away. And then on top of that, you know, there's not that space available.
Let's talk a little bit about if Measure G passes. One of the stipulations would be that those dispensaries would have to move locations within 10 days. Is that feasible?
Not really. I mean, it's funny. County has complained about the concentration of these patient associations on North Chester. The first thing they did was put in a moratorium that said you can't move. So the county and Sheriff Youngblood, I think, has really fueled the fire by not enforcing the law. And there's plenty of law out there to enforce against illegal drug trafficking. But these are legal patient associations, and they were created by law in California by the voters. So 10 days is just not right. I mean, a lot of these associations have 2,000 members. They don't get around too well. A lot of them have gait or mobility problems, and many of them have transportation problems. They're not going to be able to get to the outskirts. If I may say one other thing, County Council said, well, you can always get a caregiver, you know, to go get your medicine. They know that under California law, a caregiver cannot just get you medicine. That's a felony. You're a drug dealer if you do that. Okay. You have to actually either house that individual or you have to provide all medical care for that individual. The California Supreme Court's been very clear on that in a recent case that came down, People versus Mensch. County Council knows it. And this is what's so offensive, is to listen to government outright lie to you to try to put their moral code on top of you, particularly in an area, if I may, where recent studies, UCLA published a study recently last month saying that there's no relationship between between patient associations and crime. And this is an empirical peer-reviewed study. And then the RAND Corporation came out with a study last year as well. This study was withdrawn under intense pressure by the city attorney of Los Angeles, who was trying to shut down cooperatives. Okay. And the RAND study's conclusion was they don't know why, but when you close patient association, crime goes up by 60%. It goes up by 60%. Right. They think maybe it's the security provided or the foot traffic. You know, when you have a patient association, the police are always interested. You know, they just, you can't disinterest them, so they want to be around.
The minute they take them out, then crime.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for coming in this morning.
My pleasure.
We appreciate your perspective on this.
Thanks.